spent a combined 4+ decades in the state assembly, one in the Republican minority and the other in the Democratic majority. Today, they are both working in the private sector, but that has not kept them from weighing in on policy debates that keep cropping up at the Capitol. Tonight, they are here to go toe-to-toe on the subject of collective bargaining and the budget battle that is underway in Albany. In one corner, we have Brodsky Faso. He is the former Assembly Minority Leader and the 2006 Republican gubernatorial contender. And then in the other corner, we have Richard Brodsky. He's a former Assemblyman and a two-time State Attorney General contender. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So the premise of this, actually, the way this came about was Albany Law School and Rockefeller Institute had a debate this morning on whether Wisconsin should come to New York, the intersection of collective bargaining, budgets, and politics. So I'll start by this. Should Wisconsin come to New York? You want to start, John?
Well, as I argued this morning, we need to reform New York's collective bargaining rules because they're too expensive, they're outmoded, they're not productive for workers or taxpayers, but especially taxpayers. And there are a number of suggestions as to how we can do it. I don't say we should throw collective bargaining out, baby with the bathwater, but it's in dire need of reform.
For sure.
Well, what happened in Wisconsin was not just a fight about dollars, numbers, and budgets. It was a fight about values. It was a fight about what kind of democracy we are, what rights human beings have. And the heart of the question comes down to a decision that New York made and Wisconsin made years ago, which was that public employees should not have the right to strike like every other citizen has. Well, once you make that decision, you've got to find ways to protect people's ability to organize, to associate, to petition, to, in effect, exercise power over their own workplace. That's what the fight's about. John is the moderate voice of what is an extreme movement in this.
It's the first time he's ever said that.
It's the first time it's ever happened. The point of it is that the attack on collective bargaining is really an attack on an American system that we need to preserve.
Okay, well,
Wisconsin should not come to New York.
Well, all right. By that token, do you believe then that what is happening here? I mean, there are unions who feel that they are under attack here by Andrew Cuomo, although he has gone to great pains to say that he is not actually trying to do away with collective bargaining, that he supports collective bargaining, and that he actually needs to get. What you're making a financial argument. He's saying, the governor here, that he needs to get a savings and he needs to get it out of the workforce, he says. Scott Walker in Wisconsin was a little bit of a different story, more extreme, certainly. It's not the same thing.
There's a transfer. John this morning, and I think ably argues that we're in a fiscal crisis.
Well, aren't we?
The remedy, however, that a lot of people propose is to change the fundamental rules of the way we function, not just the outcomes. There are abuses. We need to correct them. We can save money, and the labor movement will be part of that effort. But we have to do so in an environment which doesn't demonize people or make them the victims of a new authoritarian regime where the government tells people what their working conditions are.
Okay, then how, John? How is it that we're supposed to reform collective bargaining to make the changes that we need?
Well, very simply. New York has a pension system for state and local employees. It's not a subject of bargaining. We have the NISHIP program, which provides health insurance for state workers. If we move the local and school district workers in the state into NISHIP, we would save hundreds of millions of dollars. Remove this, like we do pensions, out of a type item of collective bargaining and simply do it legislatively. That would save hundreds of millions of dollars. We have school districts in this state where family coverage is $30,000. At the state level, it's $17,000. There are real savings that can be affected. We also have the New York's infamous Triborough law, which allows all the terms and conditions of prior contracts to stay in place. Governor Cuomo in today's Times-Union in Albany said he may be asking the newspaper said that he may be asking the state worker unions to give up $140 million of raises that they're getting for longevity.
He did say that.
At the school district level, we're looking at step increases and salary increases that are in the billion-dollar range across the state.
But isn't a pension constitutionally protected? Don't you have to go into the Constitution?
I'm not talking about
that.
I'm not talking about pensions. I'm saying health insurance.
Right.
Yeah, that's not constitutionally protected. And we can go in and save taxpayers a lot of money, still provide people with very good health insurance. But right now, the way the situation is, the negotiating scale is very much tilted to the labor unions.
There need to be savings. We need to watch out for taxpayers. We need to be very careful about that. John's economic theories, however, have holes in them that I don't think we need to address right now, except I don't want his unstated assumptions to be viewed as reality. On the issue of these benefits and these collective bargaining agreements, we can make savings. We need to make savings. But do we do that by changing the American system from where people can, once they're denied the right to strike, can organize and bargain for their working conditions, to one in which John or the governor or somebody else tells them what their working conditions are? It's about values as much as is about dollars. We need to address the dollar issues John raises. We don't need to Sovietize the labor relations system in order to do it.
Well, I mean, I think that's just extended hyperbole. I mean, we're in a crisis. We need to change it. If you look at the Conference of Mayors in this state, largely many Democratic officials, Stephanie Miner, the mayor of Syracuse, Jerry Jennings, the mayor of Albany, etc., Matt Ryan, the mayor of Binghamton, all calling for Scott Walker-type collective bargaining changes in the state. I wouldn't say that those people are authoritarian or radical. They're trying to get a hold of the fact that Albany is micromanaging their budgets, dictating terms and conditions of employment, not allowing them to negotiate in a rational way given the economy we have. And this is my bottom line, Liz. New York is fading economically. We've been losing people. Over 1.5 million people have left in the last decade. People are voting with their feet. Why? It's too expensive to do a business here, to hire people, and it's too expensive to live.
Okay.
And so people want to leave. And these rules, these laws from Albany are raising costs for taxpayers and business.
You're making a pure dollars and cents argument, and Richard is bringing in this question of morality. Do you believe that there's a question of morality?
Yeah, there is. I mean, I don't think it's a you know, my primary focus is not a function of morality per se, because that would be the topic of a much longer discussion here. But I don't think it's a particularly moral or appropriate approach to people looking to raise their families to basically leave an environment where you can't survive in this state.
I'm not going to be put in the position of being unsympathetic to taxpayers or unwilling to look at things like cuts in spending or
Name
these
one,
other
though.
things.
You never say which one you'll cut.
Yeah, some of the things you mentioned today, for example, some of the subsidies
Like the
that go
film
to
credit.
corporations. Well, there are others. The old Empire's Own
Yeah.
credit. Some of those expenditures, which are increasing in this budget.
$400 million
John,
in this budget is
John.
just to give tax breaks to movie
John,
makers.
there are plenty of those that I would agree to.
Yeah.
And those include things that involve working conditions and compensation. They've got to be looked at. But
Wait, does that include furloughs? Does that include renegotiating step
it
increases? Does it include a possible pay freeze?
Yes, in the sense that all of those things are on the table for real discussion with all the parties. I may have a particular view about the wisdom of one or the other, John may, but no subject is taboo. What I'm trying to point out here is this pinched, fearful, angry economy that we have, and all the political translations it makes into the way in which people treat each other, should not become a vehicle for changing the fundamental rules of fairness in American society.
Okay.
And that I'm not going to back off on.
Okay, well, let me ask this question. The flashpoint, or one of the flashpoints in this, is this issue of last in, first out.